Hello and welcome to another episode of the Full Force Weekly, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com with me, Christopher McLeod AKA Diagnostik80. For today's episode, I'm joined by the awesome Patrick Notpicard Stewart. In this regular video series, we round up all the week's news in the world of G.I. Joe. What is it, Pat?
It's the Full Force Weekly.
That was really aggressive. I love it. Were you also trying to get ahead of the delay there, so I didn't have to
I was, yes.
I appreciate that, because I always have to cut that little sliver out where you're sitting there going, it's the Full Force Weekly. That's amazing. Thank you, mate. How you doing?
Doing okay, yes. Was happy to record our monthly the other day.
Oh, I'm still editing that. It's amazing.
I can imagine, yes.
It's amazing. I'm about 40 minutes into 2 hours worth of an episode there, guys. But it's going to be a beauty. It's a really good O-ring kind of, I don't know, like the talk of like us talking about our experiences from like kids and like how it affected us, that kind of, you know, what we love about the line so much, going into the kind of the new releases and everything. It was fun, wasn't it? It was a good laugh.
Right. It was a lot of fun. And then like for the rest of the day, I was replaying things that we talked about in my head and, you know, just kind of enjoying the conversation, digesting some of the things that we talked about. And then I kept on thinking, did I say that? You know, on certain things, like, did I make sense? Because sometimes I just start talking and I ramble for a long time, and I hope that what's coming out of my mouth is pertinent.
It was brilliant. All of it was great. We had Eric and we had Adam join us as well for that one. So it is a really good episode, and hopefully it's probably not going to be up before the weekly. I imagine maybe I might be able to drop it on Saturday or Sunday, but it'll be coming very soon. And yeah, it's a really good episode. Lots of fun talk and chat about the O-ring stuff. And Pat, you didn't ramble. You were exactly on point. It was great. And I would say, like, those ones I find, they always end up in like just us being ridiculous and lots of laughs and all that kind of stuff. So that's all that matters for me, and from that point of view. So yeah, it was great. Not much to talk about this week, though, is there, buddy?
No, not a ton of news. We've had a bit of a drought of news as of late.
2 stories, news drought for the G.I. Joe. But yeah, I've kind of I've added something in there that's a lot of fun to talk about. But first up, obviously, the last weekend we had that massive news, or that massive kind of event, I would say, for Renegade Game Studios, who revealed a lot of stuff. So I guess we'll get into that first, shall we?
Sounds good. Do you hear that alarm? Okay.
No.
No alarm. All right, so we're good.
What alarm's going off? Is it next door?
It's like the local one for bad weather and things like that. They test it sometimes after afternoon. So
I thought you were going to say it's just the nuclear one.
There is that too. Maybe I should just double check, because the nuclear plant is.
Oh, could you imagine?
Yeah.
Let's not. Anyway, they'll be sending G.I. Joe in to fix that. Don't worry, Pat. It's fine.
Sweet.
Barbecue and Airtight will be on it. No worries. Right then, let's get into Renegade Game Studios news. Renegade Game Studios had their annual Renegade Con Virtual last weekend. The 2-day event focused on revealing brand new product and news for all their licenses, including Power Rangers, Transformers, My Little Pony, and of course, G.I. Joe. I covered both days regarding the G.I. Joe reveals over a few live streams, which you can check out on the channel, which saw new deck building game expansions like Shadow of the Serpent and Cold Snap, new role-playing game additions with miniatures, and a deeper dive into their brand new tabletop game, Mission Critical, which also comes with its own miniatures. The team showed off brand new artwork from Robert Atkins, Steve Morris, and many, many others. The biggest news was hearing that our very own Justin Bell is involved in the writing side of Operation Cold Iron. I'm excited for these new additions to the Renegade roster, and we'll be delving into the deck building game this weekend. Pat, did you get a chance to see any of the reveals from last weekend, and did anything stand out to you?
You know, I need to put all of the videos into a queue to sit down and watch them later, because I didn't have the time. I was actually working, I think, whenever these were playing. So I was not able to watch them live, and have still only kind of seen things that have been covered in news bursts and some images that have been shown to me. But there are some standouts. I like the look of some of the figures, and I think that even during the Hasbro panel, he said that if you pre-order in April, or is it by April or in April, that you get that Snake Eyes figure?
Yeah, the Snake Eyes carded figure is really cute, isn't it? I really like the way they've done that. Like, that's something that I wouldn't have expected them necessarily to do, but it is kind of a no-brainer as a little exclusive, isn't it?
Yeah, really. I mean, it's just probably my obsessiveness over little miniature figures that the figures are the things that really stand out to me, because I tried to get into role-playing games when I was younger. You know, I thought that I was playing Dungeons and Dragons, and who knows what I was really doing. So looking through the rule books and things like that, you know, I would read the one for James Bond and Star Frontiers. My brother had that one. But yeah, I'm curious to watch somebody actually play through G.I. Joe online. I definitely want to see a game played before I jump in. But the fact that they're doing a tabletop game as well, just basically not a board game. Yes, we could call it that.
You could call it a board game. It's effectively that's what it would be. Probably just a slightly bit more complex, but I mean, in terms of they're the games that Kate and I probably play as well. In that sense, like we've got loads of them. Like I'm actually using a few of them to prop up my laptop to get it at a good height, including Back to the Future, the IDW game, similar kind of thing. So yeah. Mission Critical seems like a standalone, and it's got its own little miniatures, it's got its own little kind of game format, and I'm really excited to kind of see that as a, you know, like that's I think they said it's like something you can do in like 4 hours, up to like 4 players, I think, as well. So that's a nice one to do with like family, or with, you know, when we get together and finally we could probably, you know, bash that out in like a, you know, a little kind of a sitting. That'd be fun.
Yeah, maybe it'd be something that'd be fun to take to a convention and maybe a few people play here and there.
Absolutely.
It could be enjoyable for sure. Yeah, so there's a lot of pictures and stuff that you shared with me too.
So much. In fact, one of the things that I wanted to talk about actually was some of the artwork, because is really fun, like really cool stuff. Obviously, we've got the reveals. We've got Shadow of the Serpent, which is obviously an expansion of the deck building game, and the cover for that is a Robert Atkins piece, which is really cool. It's got Serpentor on it. It's got Hawk, Beachhead, Tunnel Rat, Snake Eyes, Helix, Budo, and Bomb Strike as well, and some Alley Vipers. So it's like, you know, again, kind of delving into the characters a little bit with the artwork there, which I really like to see. And obviously, Robert's work is fantastic, isn't it? So it's always really nice to see.
Yeah, so we're basically dealing with 3 different games here, and I am having to sort out in my brain which things everything belongs to, because I didn't watch through the entire video.
So I can also add to that, because obviously another massive reveal was another expansion to the deck building game. So there's going to be 2 expansions to the deck building game. Cold Snap, which again features some really awesome artwork. Robert Atkins again. He's got the winter kind of Joes on there. I think Snake Eyes in his winter gear, Scarlet as well. I think Gung Ho is there in his winter gear with a sleeveless top, which is brilliant. It's just like you put like the fur on your vest, but you're still sleeveless. Genius. It's got some cool characters.
The fur in his vest then is at least better than the cover of the Polar Battle Bear. That always stood out to me, even as a kid. I'm like, why doesn't he wear something more in order to be on this snowmobile?
He's going to be cold. He's actually operating that on the dry ski slope. And then also in the background, you've got like the Dreadnoks, you've got Zartan, Buzzer and Zorana, I believe, and then the Weather Dominator, which is really dope as well, because obviously it's Cold Snap like revolves around that particular mission around the Weather Dominator, which is really neat. So loads of cool expansion sets. There's also some bonus boxes as well. There's a bonus box for they showed the bonus box for Shadow of the Serpent, which has again art with version 1 Snake Eyes and Scarlet on the cover. And usually, like the bonus box that I had for my deck building game featured it was like a little building you could knock up, and also a character. I've lost him. Ah, right, I see. I thought you just quit. I thought you just left. I thought you'd done like a Frost Nixon kind of vibe.
No, I knew that it was right there, so I just thought, well, wouldn't it make sense if I just grabbed it?
Absolutely. It would have made sense if I'd have also grabbed the deck building game. Yes, that's awesome. And so obviously that in there, you've got the Dawn Moreno expansion. Look at this. Look at it. Professional. Pat is the professional between the two of us. And and like I said, in there, you've got like a little character disc, and you've got 2 cards, a leader Dawn Moreno and a regular Dawn Moreno. That's the building, isn't it, that you can knock up as well in the background. The hangar, that's it. There's your
you
little
can put it out and build that.
character coin was the word I was looking for before, and Dawn
And I
Moreno's
think I put
cards.
the cards for Dawn so that they didn't get knocked around inside that box.
That's good thinking.
I put them inside the main deck building game box. But
So that's probably what we're going to get with the Snake Eyes Scarlet one. I don't recall if they actually explained what was in that bonus box, other than they just said there's a bonus box. And there's that. Is that the leader one, or the that's just the Dawn Moreno card, isn't it? There's also a leader one for her, I think, as well.
yeah, there's one. They're bagged still.
They're really cute. I love that. And obviously, what was funny is Adam asked me a while ago in our Full Force group, could I take pictures of all the cards and send them in the group, because he wants to see if like his stuff had got in there. And so I took a picture of every single card, like grouped them obviously, and sent them through. So and that way it kind of just shows you just how much is in that game. Like how many different cards, how like so much artwork. And obviously they've trawled art from like comics, they've got original art in there, they've got art from all over the place, basically, haven't they, dude?
Yeah, that's one of the things that actually is standing out to me about their general approach to everything, is that they're not doing the whole core character hump thing, are they?
No, there's no core character hump here.
No, they're just kind of going a little bit all over the place in a way that I am actually really appreciating, because seeing things like Valor versus Venom Jinx, which was one of the standout designs, I think, from the quote-unquote new sculpt era of G.I. Joe, like the stuff that came basically from G.I. Joe versus Cobra in 2002 up through the end of Valor versus Venom in 2005.
Yeah.
Like that era, there were a lot of new designs and reimagined characters. And it'd be a shame if all that stuff was just ignored forever. But the fact that they have Jinx on, in there doing that, and Stalker as well. One of the miniatures they showed for Stalker was the Joe versus Cobra Stalker. So
yeah, it's
really cool that they're pulling things from everywhere.
That is really interesting as well. And on another reveal they showed off, I think it was in day 2, revolved around the deck building game, and it was a new addition, obviously, in one of the expansion sets to the Cobra Troopers. They've got a Cobra Trooper Ninja, and it's new art, it's Red Ninja, and it's classified. It's the classified Red Ninja. So, like, I love the fact that we're getting stuff, like, again, that's brand spanking new, and like you said, like, vintage-ish, full vintage, modern era. It, like, just, there's so many cool... I mean, it is such a huge history, this brand. It's so vast. And, like you say, ignoring something is not the way. You need to kind of like acknowledge all these different eras. And the only has Sigma 6 popped up yet?
No, I don't think too bad Justin isn't here. He'd tell us.
He would.
Maybe he'll make it pop up somewhere. I don't know.
By the way, I will say, wouldn't it have been quite imperative to have Justin on the show today? Yes, but he's obviously, unfortunately, couldn't make it. But yeah, I wanted him in so we could talk about his involvement in the writing, which is amazing. So he's writing an adventure book, or co-writing with Ryan Costello, Ben, and Paige, I believe it is, the other 4. So like that's the 4 basically that are working on the writing duties for Operation Cold Iron. So really excited to see what Justin's been involved with there. And obviously when it comes out, he can talk a little bit more about what he was personally involved in. And that's something we will get Justin on the show to discuss, absolutely. But yeah, really excited for that. And it's nice having, like, you've got Eric, like, on the show sometimes, who's obviously designed figures in the past. You've got Adam on the show who, literally has over 50 GI Joe official GI Joe card backs, and I mean that's mental, isn't it? Like he's probably done more than Garrido at this point.
Yeah, that's possible. That's quite possible. I don't know. I guess we'd have to look at 3D Joes to see and count them up, because they're actually doing a very diligent work to make sure that all of the artists are credited, which is amazing.
That is amazing. I was blown away to find out that Earl Norham had done so many cards, and then when I did find out that he'd done them, I was like, oh, I can see it in Road Pig. I can see it in Budo was another one. Hydro Viper, of course. Like so, yeah. Like and yeah, obviously Doug Hart did some, and there's more people have worked on that than you'd think, and it's I'm really glad 3D Joes are actually getting those names attached to the actual specific pieces, so that's awesome.
Yeah, but maybe I'm just gonna have to leave because I haven't worked on GI Joe.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to get someone else. Yeah, Justin's worked on it. Like, in fact,
like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you say that, mate, but what the fuck am I? Like, the two of us are the outliers here, aren't we? So that's why we do the weekly.
Sure.
And to say you haven't done anything for the GI Joe, whether it's official or unofficial, is like a massive understatement. You know, you've done a lot for GI Joe, for the fandom.
I've never worked on the GI Joe brand, and I'm sad about that, to be honest. I would love to work on the GI Joe brand in some capacity.
I haven't either, and I'd love to. So yeah, no, you're right, Pat. I haven't, and neither of you. And it's sad.
Well, I wrote an article to promote the old game, the old card game. That wasn't for Hasbro. That was for Wizards of the Coast, and it was a garbage article. The current me looks back on that and it's like, should I mention that? Because people could dig it up, but it's not very good.
I want to find it now. You're going to have to show me
please
that.
Don't.
I want to see it.
Please
I'm not going to share it.
I don't even know where it is. It's probably not. It's not online anymore. Come on.
Was it pre-online? Was it in 1833?
No, it was an online article.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
It was so bad that like it got chopped down severely whenever they posted it. So I feel bad that I did not do a good job on my one time. Maybe that was my shot.
They still took it. They still got it, mate. And you're still. I would say that is. I'm just going to go ahead and say yes. You've worked on the brand, not even indirectly. That is a direct brand working scenario.
Not really.
I know, but it's crazy though, isn't it, that we're surrounded by all these people on the show as well who have got these like they're working currently for GI Joe Hasbro. That's great, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's great the fact that these companies are actually, that Hasbro and Renegade are actually making sure that they are finding the people who know what they are talking about. I've had this conversation even recently with other brands, and how you have, some of the best writing in comic books, for example, are from some of the people who, as children, were fans of those characters and then grew up and were just dying to write for it. And then if you find the people, that cross section of people who are talented writers and who were fans of the thing, they're going to really pour as much as possible as they can into it. And so Renegade's making sure that their content is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be written by people who know what they're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. A big shout out to Ryan Costello as well. He was on talking about the role-playing game. And, he's a huge fan. We've known him for a while and online and some of us in person. Really, really good guy, and really happy for him to be kind of, working on the brand. I'm really excited to see what he's done. I'm really excited to see what they've done on the role-playing game. And it's definitely something that, we talk about, the G.I. Joe fandom on that side of things. But then we could also mention the fact that they're getting people involved who are serious as well in that kind of side of things, like role-playing games. Because there have been things in the past where they've just done a blanket kind of structure and then just thrown the dressing on it, rather than actually gone into the detail of creating a game that works for the brand, for the characters, that kind of thing. And I think this one, you can see so much has gone into it. When you see the videos that they talk about this stuff, Ryan goes into massive detail on the how to play a role-playing game video, link in the description. And if you are going to play this and you haven't played them before, it's a really good idea to check that video first. Him and Trivia Fox, go into loads of detail about it. But you can tell that there's going to be some substance to it rather than just, like I said before, just a bit of merch with a G.I. Joe badge on it.
Yeah, I think that was the criticism of the old deck building game from the Valor versus Venom era. I did play it through with my brother at one point, and he's really been into collectible card games. He played several of those, and he found it to be just a little too simple.
Yeah.
And maybe that was what their intention was at the time, because then, a younger audience could maybe be into G.I. Joe and be into that game. But really, I think that where role-playing games are is that a lot of adults are playing. And to have the option to play G.I. Joe and to have it not be a crap game, like it's actually going to be something that will be an honest, good role-playing game at the same time. Who knows? They may end up actually bringing some diehard RPG players into G.I. Joe. The people may come about it from the other direction.
That's absolutely true. Yeah, that's something I didn't even kind of considered either. And totally. But kind of like one of the things I also wanted to discuss about this was some of the beautiful artwork for the role-playing game. They've done like a few kind of like location shots, and there was like a Cobra Castle in the desert, which was amazing. I think that was Robert Atkins. There was a shot of like kind of New York, Statue of Liberty, a little bit of the island kind of thing. One of the bridges, really, really nice. Again, that's really more for like, setting the scene. There's nothing really G.I. Joe oriented about that necessarily. From the visual standpoint. And then there was some other amazing ones, like the underwater sharks versus the mantises, which is really cool. Like I love how it's just very, very beautifully done, like very painterly. Like the effect of being underwater is really, really strong in that one. I just really like that particular image.
Yeah, and that one also kind of reminds me that, hey, this is pulling things from different eras, because that Mantis sub was from 2002.
Yep.
So it's definitely not looking at just 1 year of G.I. Joe. They have the entire history of the brand in mind with this.
Absolutely.
And I can't wait to see where else they go in that regard.
Well, they also revealed the Pursuit of Cobra Hiss tank as well, which is wicked. Because like that, I think I spoke about this on the live stream and discussed it with what people's favorite Hiss tanks were basically. And this one's actually quite high up there because of the way it's a big redesign. It's almost it kind of takes one element, I would say, from the original in the tread shape, and then goes to town on the rest of it. You've got obviously the rising aspect that we had with the head on. Was it the 4 or the 3? It was the 4, wasn't it? His 4 had had the spring up head thing, which we went into a lot of detail with our little hiss thing for Assembly Required.
We did, yeah.
That was a fun thing to do as well. But yeah, it's nice that they're going into like, not like, it is old now, but like certainly modern era in Pursuit of Cobra.
Yeah, I think that honestly, I think that Hiss tank design is kind of here to stay for the history of Hiss tanks, because it's such a solid one. A lot of people criticize the original Hiss tank for having the glass canopy, and they eliminated that with this one. And the fact that this has 2 distinct different guns in the back, you could actually change those guns out the way that the toy works. It has so much going for it that I think that this is a design of Hiss tank that is just always going to be worth revisiting. It's not the classic style, but it is one that is, I loved this one.
Yeah,
it's great.
It I don't know. It's like, it's very rare that you get a full-on redesign that is overwhelmingly kind of taken on board positively, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
not true.
It's not always the case. It's sometimes the case, but not always. And I think obviously there are people that are diehard Hiss 1 fans, obviously, but I think that is one of the best upgrades to a G.I. Joe vehicle ever. There aren't really that many that do that. I mean, the characters got upgrades. Sometimes vehicles do get upgrades, like what the Vampers had multiple. The Ore Striker got the Foe Striker as a kind of upgrade. And yeah, so it's nice that, like I said, you get in, like, with the Hiss Tank, something like that universally everyone is all about. Because I think for most people, they still really love the original Vamp styling compared to the new one. I know the new one's a bit more modern military, but I mean, I know you, for example, prefer the first or the original styling.
Oh, yeah. It's the new one is so modern military that it's a great toy, but it isn't as iconically specific to G.I. Joe as whenever I see, and now I know that the original Vamp is actually based on the Lamborghini Cheetah, which was something that was proposed to the military, and so therefore, whenever it shows up in bootleg sets, the bootleg may actually be referencing that original design rather than referencing the Vamp. But it's still, anytime you see that thing, you have to think G.I. Joe, because that's what it looks like. That's most definitely the most popular use of it is the G.I. Joe Vamp. So I like the original Vamp a lot more than I do any of the, well, I shouldn't say more than any of the reuses of it, because obviously the Vamp 2 was amazing. So was the Stinger. So
yeah, and the Tiger Sting. What? I do love the Vamp. It's a pretty cool one. And you're right. I think the problem is there isn't enough iconography taken over to the new Vamp. Whereas the Hiss Tank, at least you've got that visual of the reverse kind of triangular treads, which, you know, and the color, that all black, just, it screams Hiss Tank, doesn't it? No matter what you're looking at. Yeah,
that's true. And the tread design kind of made it so that even when you turned it into red, it definitely was calling out the red Hiss Tank, you know, and blue. Like, you could do all those same things with it, and you still kind of knew exactly what was going on. It's funny how they got it right with that on every level, and then the next time we see it, it's got no working treads. It's got the kind of the spring feature has been decimated. Other features have been removed. Plastics changed, and all of a sudden it's it's just like it's almost like a bootleg version of it, isn't it? Yeah, it's definitely cheapened, but there were some things about that one that currently I can't remember that I did like. I think I liked the guns that were on that one.
Yeah, they had did they have the bullet belts on the other one as well? You know, one of them's got like a mini gun, and it's got like a bullet belt on it.
I can't remember.
Yeah,
I didn't hate that release, but it did seem like it should have just been a way of bulking up your army of Hiss Tanks a little bit cheaper.
Yeah, I suppose that's a good way of looking at it. Yeah. Okay. Well, wow, we've gone on for much longer than I anticipated there, but this is what we do, isn't it, Pat? We just talk mindlessly for hours on absolutely nothing somehow. So that's Renegade Game Studios. Any other things you want to shout out there?
Yes, actually, I really like the picture of that castle. It reminds me of the Hallmark released a Castle of Grayskull last year, and it was just such a treat to be able to turn around and see the back of Castle Grayskull. How often does that happen?
Yeah,
and seeing this art for a Cobra Castle just makes me think that usually we have the same thing going on with Cobra Castles. We're looking at them, you know, from a very low angle, looking up at this huge, majestic castle, or flying in down from the top to the front of the castle. But whoever sees the back of a Cobra Castle, and here you kind of at least see an aerial view from the top that's showing us more of what was going on back there.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that. It's a good interpretation of it. Like, it kind of builds out some bulk and makes it so that maybe there's more rooms in there than just towers.
And also, I love the fact that it's just in the middle of the desert. No, nothing around it. Just right there. There you go. Try and find us. Oh, you have done, because you have satellites. Well done. Now come and get us. I also like the Cobra installation. This was funny. I spoke on the live stream about that Cobra installation near the beach. and it's like this. It's basically got a fence around it. It's got Cobra logos on everything, but it looks like it's just been thrown together because it's like, a couple of sheds. And I love the fact they've put logos all over it. Just like, we've got to let people know we're here. It's brilliant. It's so funny. And I was thinking as well, how sucky must it be to be a Cobra Trooper stationed there and not actually be able to enjoy the outside, go to the beach. No, you've got to be stuck there looking at that gorgeous view every now and again, just thinking, I'm stuck here in this installation about to get pounded by G.I. Joe, probably.
And from apparently it looks like you don't even have access to any of the cool Cobra vehicles. Like there's a bus. And like
full of battle
android
troopers.
Amazon delivery truck. I'm pretty sure there's one of those there too.
That's just getting all their deliveries in. That's amazing. So what cool vehicles did we get, Major? Well, we've got a bus. That's what took him there in the first place.
To make that trooper feel good, they've probably got to rename that bus some crazy Cobra name.
That's the Gorgonestra. That's the... Can't think of anything cool.
It's the Cobra Fang Transport, or not Fang, because that's been used.
Good luck.
Just pick some random snake and just call it that, even though that's not what a Cobra is. It's a random snake. It's a specific one. You still end up with like the adder. Well, an adder's not a Cobra. I don't know my snakes.
An adder isn't a Cobra. An adder is a snake. But an
adder is an adder. Yeah.
An adder is also an
adder. A big boa is a boa, not a Cobra.
Yep. Rattler is not a Cobra.
Becomes very generically snake themed rather than specifically Cobra themed.
Yeah. Wild Weasel, for example. Yeah. Although you can get away with particular characters, you can get away with whatever the hell you want to. Road Pig.
There's a couple of buses in that picture. I didn't even notice that.
Well, there must be a lot of troopers there. They've just bust them all in. Who do you reckon's running that installation? What type of Viper?
Who knows? Maybe that's what the Cobra officers have to do.
Sucks to be you. I think personally it's a bunch of admin Vipers. We haven't had admin Vipers. I'd love to see an admin Viper. It would just be a normal person.
It might not be that great of a toy.
Oh, are you kidding me? Data Viper was amazing. So that admin Viper could be just a clipboard with legs and arms. That'd be perfect. Just one.
I don't know. I just picture it being a Cobra officer, and he sits around at this installation, looking at the not awesome vehicles that he has, and just thinks, I'm doing all this for a triangle on my helmet. That's really all it is. And sometimes I don't even have knee pads to go out and worry about like battling things.
And depending on what era I'm from, I might or may not have knee pads, is what he's saying, which is amazing. I'd love for him to be that self-aware, honestly. Anyway, that is Renegade Game Studios news, believe it or not. Pat, we have somehow managed to get an hour, I think, more or less, out of that one story. How? How do we do it?
No idea. You're going to have to edit it down because that's insane.
How do we
Nobody wants to listen to us gab for that long.
And we've got another story to go next. And this is a bit of fun. This is a bit of fun. But yeah, in Gearhomies news. Last weekend, a few people, including our very own Paddy Lennon, made me aware of a brand new line of unofficial G.I. Joe clothing from Gearhomies.com. New range includes t-shirts, Hawaiian shirts, zip hoodies, fleece hoodies, pullovers, sweatshirts, tracksuits and sweatpants in a bevy of different G.I. Joe character designs, from their vintage aesthetic to the classified series and even the odd movie thrown in as well. You can check the website for all the prices and so on, link in the description. Pat, any of these making you want a full-on character onesie?
No. They're interesting, but honestly, the fact that this seems to be done unofficially kind of makes me wonder how good it looks, because these pictures don't look like they're of actual product. They look like they've taken their designs and digitally added them to their digital picture of a hoodie, and who knows what it would look like if you actually got them in hand.
That is a worry, isn't it? I'm curious to see if anyone, once I've shared this, if anyone's actually ordered any, and also what they're like, because that is the main thing here. Now, I like the idea behind them. I do, oddly enough, I just wish they were official, because they're kind of fun. And if like Hasbro are willing to do something like clothing wise, which they have done already, we've seen numerous clothing ranges and stuff that Hasbro have officially licensed. They're all a little bit expensive. Like we had Heroes and Villains, we've had New Era with the hats, we've had, what else have we had? I suppose you could kind of, I'm trying to think of the others. 80s Tees is officially licensed. So we've had that kind of stuff. But again, it is a little bit high end kind of price wise. And I think looking at these, you're talking like $60, I think, roughly on average for the hooded sweatshirt and pants kind of combo, which actually is quite good. I would imagine if this was an official product, we'd be looking at a much more expensive price point.
Yeah, they would definitely need to include a bit of cash for the licensing fee.
Can we talk about how awesome that Roblox one is and how funny it would be, well, not how racist it would be to wear that? There's no way in hell we could pull that off, is there, at all?
No, I would not be able to pull that one off whatsoever.
It just makes me laugh that you could have people of all ethnicities wearing that, and it just would look so bonkers. But no, and like things like the Destro, like the revealed chest and everything. Like I find that so funny. Oh, do you know actually what would work really well? That Zartan hoodie and pants, because it's got the hood. All you would have to do is black your eyes, put the black round your eyes, and you have literally got the full-on costume, because the hood is there as well.
Yeah, that's true. I always actually imagined this in my head as some sort of. It would need to be designed a little differently than this, because I didn't imagine like the straps and the flesh showing. But there's color change clothes you can buy, like hypercolor used to be a thing. So how cool would it be if Zartan's chest had like hypercolor?
It would be amazing. But like I look at some of these and I think they're amazing. Like the Beachhead, Flint, Major Blood ones, they're all so good. Like the idea of them is so good. Like you said, we don't really know what they look like in person. It's a bit of a gamble. $60, it's a $60 gamble basically, isn't it? And then
yeah, if somebody does take the gamble, please let me see what they look like, because I'm curious. I don't think that even if I saw it and it looked great, would I necessarily want one though. Because if it was like a G.I. Joe that was wearing a hoodie or something that it looks specifically like that, I'd be more about it than the printed on look of things. I mean, it's fun, but yeah, I don't know. I don't think that I could have too much of this in my life.
I think another one that works really well, though, is Jinx.
Yes, that one does work relatively well.
And they should throw in a couple of they should send that staff with the two like decorative kind of trident things on either side. I don't even know what that is. It's just amazing, that staff. But yeah,
I don't know what to call that either.
Just a decorative staff, I'll call it. But yeah, I thought it was funny to talk about, and also the designs are. Like, there's a lot of fun here, but like I said, like we've mentioned already, proof is in the pudding. So if one of you guys does buy this, let us know, show us pictures, and if it's good, if it's cool looking, I'm going to be jumping on that Flint or Beachhead or both. So it's going to happen. Pat, if gun to your head, you have to pick one. Which one are you going for?
Firefly.
Nice.
The hood doesn't look as out of place, and it's a little bit darker. Something that you may wear and. It's not going to be so weird and out there, but people would see it and go, oh, hey, yeah.
Oh, hey, that guy's got grenades on his chest.
Right.
Amazing. Cool. Well, that is Gearhomies news. Link in the description if you guys are interested. Like I said, if you are planning on buying any, please let us know, because we are holding back until we see what these look like. I think that's the territory though with unofficial stuff. It's just, I don't know, it's a danger. And yeah, anyway, that's the end of the news, mate. Let's get into some shout outs, shall we?
Sure.
Shoutouts. Hey there guys, just wanted to let you know about an app that I've been helping to develop for a few years now called HOARDAR. But what is HOARDAR, I hear you scream? Well, a number of years ago I discussed a project with a good friend of mine and now co-owner/developer about an app that could help collectors of all shapes and sizes. I'm talking about the shapes and sizes of the collections really, but also people. The app would be a place where you could share your new items, build collections and sub-collections, or just browse the feed to see cool things. Well, we made it. We tested it for a number of years, and now it's out there for you to enjoy on iOS or Android devices. You can upload a single item at a time at your own pace and slowly build your collections. You can post status updates that could be related to your collections, like getting a delivery or posting a scene in which you can tag items in that image if you've uploaded them in the past. You can add tags to your items in order to easily search for and find them, and of course to add them into your respective collections. You can like posts, comment on them, or start a conversation with a fellow collector, directly message users you follow, and even add items you see on your feed to your want list. If you prefer to use your computer or laptop, have no fear, you can use the website browser version and even utilise the awesome inventory option, allowing any user to change certain details, add notes, upload bulk items from spreadsheet files, and download a CSV of your entire itemised collection. We made this app for collectors, and we hope that you enjoy using it as much as we enjoyed creating it. Now get to hoarding. Right, you can go first, my man. Give us your... I'm going to guess what one is, but because it's the same every single time.
What would you guess?
Philip Donnelly.
Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it this week. Just having you say it.
Yay! Shout out to Philip Donnelly, who we love from Articulated Points, a show that Pat is also involved with. But you don't have to say anything, mate. You've done it. Unless has he sent you anything this week?
No, he's not sent me anything this week. And I'm terrible about sending anything to anybody, so I'm awful about that. I'm terrible about using the mail system. I just really am.
It's a pain. I owe Mark Seddon. Shout out to Mark Seddon. I'll do a quick shout out here. Mark Seddon of Talking Joes. I still owe him these comics that he sent my way because he couldn't get them in the UK. So they came to my establishment. I've packed them up. Probably had it for about a year now. Probably longer than that. It's just I never get the chance to go to the post office. But yeah, sorry, Mark. They're coming. They are old comics, by the way. They're those ones from the comic packs, I believe. You'll have to remind me, Mark, what they were. I can't even bloody remember. Anyway, yeah, they'll be coming to you soonish. But apologies, they're coming. It's just Pat and I are crap with the mail, and I'm blaming Pat. I'm bringing Pat into this.
It's my fault. I'm sorry. See? I was supposed to motivate him to send those, but I just heard about it now, so I didn't.
You were supposed to motivate him without knowing anything about it. Yeah, sorry, Pat. Go on, continue with your shout-outs.
I thought that I was done.
You're done, and I did it for you.
I don't do a lot of shout-outs. It's terrible. I'm so afraid of leaving people out that I just leave everybody out every week, and then I move on.
Actually, it's a good stance, actually. Yeah, I think I might do that myself. Big shout-out to Word Burglar for fully funding and completing his MacGuffin Device LP vinyl campaign on Bandcamp. Yeah, that's all done and dusted now. If you backed him, he did he went like 100 and something% beyond, so amazing work there, buddy, and really looking forward to getting that as part of the collection of amazing vinyl that I've built up now. It's all like, it's the nerdiest vinyl collection ever. It's like the Transformers soundtrack. It's like the G.I. Joe, the 2 G.I. Joe versions on vinyl. What else have I got in there? Obviously all my sample stuff for when I make beats in my other life that no one really knows about.
I have a couple of those as well, but I have nothing to play vinyl on.
Mine's right here. This little glass top right there. You'll have to come around and play them all around here, mate.
You already have the ones that I have.
Stay there and I'll just play them for you. Yeah, we'll do that. Let's really.
You might have some old like listen-in lookbooks or something.
I've got
that. Turn the page when this bell chimes.
I've got the floppy vinyl 7-inch, I think it was, special core vinyl that came with Steel Brigade in the UK. That came with that special core figure, which is
nice.
That's great. That's great. In fact, I've actually revealed what people know what's on it now, but it's like a competition. It's Hawk in a terrible accent, like it goes from American to British to something else that doesn't quite make sense. And he basically asked people to draw. He describes what sounds like the warthog, and you have to kind of you have to draw it and send it in. And it was a year before it was released in the UK, so it almost felt like they were trying to make it feel like the kid had designed the next G.I. Joe vehicle, and boom, there it was.
Yeah, that was a clever promotion. I think that you did you transfer that over to like computer audio, and I listened to it at one point. I think.
Yeah, I put it on the again, assembly required, or Armour, I think it was one of our Joe Declassified panels. We were talking mailaways, and that one I just put the audio all the way in it so you could hear the whole thing. It's brilliant and terrible, but brilliant at the same time. And I love the way they did the mailaway stuff in the UK. It was next level, like competitions and all sorts of cool stuff. Really, that was the one thing I look back on and really miss. I know jokingly we made this joke, I think on the monthly, that everything's mail away now. But it just, you kind of collecting tokens and writing letters and filling out a little form and posting it off. Like there's so much adventure to that, so much like you earn it. You really earn that figure.
Yeah, you earn it less whenever you mail off for it, and more through your patience or impatience, because you mail that thing off, you give them a week, and then it's like, is it here yet?
6 to 8 weeks, baby.
6 to 8 weeks, and they were not usually very far off. That's about what it took. Sometimes more.
I remember we were doing one of our panels, and we looked at the fine print, and one of them said something like 3 weeks or something, or 2 weeks, and we were like, no way has anything ever traveled that quickly in the 80s and 90s. No way did we get stuff inside 2 weeks.
They may have just been underestimating or overestimating their ability to get it.
They were definitely overestimating their ability. Anyway, shout out to that was supposed to be about Word Burglar. So shout out to Word Burglar. I don't know how we do it, Pat. We go on these ridiculous tangents. It's amazing. Also, big shout out to Boss Fight Studio. I'll give a shout out for, because they just got their Wave 6 figures in finally after so many delays, thanks to the world and COVID. But they're amazing. In fact, I've got them right here. Because obviously Kate works for Boss Fight, and I'm a freelancer for Boss Fight, so we get Kate obviously gets the hookups. But these have been going out to pre-orders, and so that's Solan, Queen Solan, the Elf Queen, amazing. My favourite though is this one. This fairy warrior is outstanding, and look at that, like a sector.
Yeah, kind of.
And then the wings are this really beautiful colour. Anyway, yeah, so they're going out to all the people that pre-ordered and wholesalers and so on and so forth. They're going out at the moment. As soon as they're done, they'll be going up on their socials, so keep an eye out for emails and social pages and stuff like that. But also, sorry, just to kind of say, everyone, we've got the knight, the female knight of Accord, with a big old sword. Whee! And Theno version 2, basically, with a snake.
Wow.
She's got the Serpentor going on there, Pat, hasn't she?
Yeah.
She needs to drag it and stiffen it up a bit. Anyway, yeah, so they're amazing. So big shout out to Boss Fight for getting those in. And like I said, they'll be going up on, I suppose, general sale, as it were, very soon, once they've gone through all the pre-orders. So shout out to Boss Fight. What else? I think that's it really for shout outs. I think that's it. All the usual ones, Skeletron and Carson at 3D Joes, and because we've obviously, I'll shout out Carson 3D Joes because I used a lot of his images for the monthly. So big shout out to Carson. Thank you, mate, for doing 3D Joes, because it's just nice to have nice clear images of everything. We were discussing things on that monthly, tampos and all sorts, and there's so much good resource for that stuff on his site. So yeah, big shout out to Carson. And then of course Adam and Eric for joining us for the monthly, which you'll be seeing very soon, and yourself, Pat. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. And also, as always, a big shout out to my family and my wonderful wife Kate and Phoebes, who is actually she's sleeping at the moment because she's not feeling very well, poor thing. So shout out to Phoebes. And I will actually, while I'm talking about my family, I'll shout out my dad, because Sunday is his birthday, March the 13th. So this will be going out Saturday. So the next day it's his birthday. So happy birthday, Dad. Yeah, I won't.
If we're going to be doing birthdays in the month, I'll just mention both of my brothers. They both have birthdays this month.
This month? Awesome. Cool.
Yes.
How old?
I don't even do the math on that anymore.
You get to a point, don't you? And you're just like, I don't care. Right now, it's just a mesh of numbers that I don't care to even look at anymore.
I'm still 26, so we'll just stick with that.
I'm still 8, and that's pretty clear on most of the stuff that we do. Well, yeah, a massive shout out as well to G.I. Joe and ESPANA, who have been promoting their incredible book, or volumes of books, collection, I suppose you'd call it, of all the releases that happen in Spain over the kind of vintage years. I think 88 to 94. 1988 to 1994. Not only will it include all the figures and everything in like 8 volumes, I believe it is, but also things like the Panini sticker album and, loads of merchandise that was released in Spain as well. So it is an absolute resource of material. It looks incredible. You can we've got links in the description of where you can actually pre-order it. If you're in Spain, there's a link for that. And if you're an international buyer, there is also a link for that as well. So I'll put both links in there, depending on where you guys are from. The period for which the pre-order lasts will actually be closing on the 31st of March. So you've still got plenty of time to get involved in that, but obviously the time is ticking away. And I really have to give a big shout out to those involved in this, because it looks incredible. Volume, I mean, so many volumes. They've just included a case for the volumes, and it's literally like through the history of I think it's like broken down into each period, like each year period. It's just absolutely fantastic. So I'm really excited to kind of see what this is all about, and it's got so much involved in it, sub teams and, like I said, loads of other merchandise and stuff like that. Really, really excited for this one. Pat, have you seen much about this, by the way, by chance?
I've seen a little bit about it. I kind of wish that we had more stuff available from other parts of the world regarding G.I. Joe. So I really appreciate the commitment that it's taken to get all this stuff collected so that I can just look at it easily.
That's so true, isn't it? And I think this is one of those things where you're looking at, because I mean, and I don't expect Hasbro to do it, obviously, but it's one of those things that you kind of want to see happen, just as a collected volume of information and knowledge for each individual place. And obviously, we've got the books from Paddy and Brian, like the Total Action Force stuff, which is just phenomenal. Not only is it a good kind of reference material, it's also just packed with interviews, depth, like real information from the people that worked on it at the time. And that, I think, is better than anything that's just here's your lineup of figures with some information on the video. Just having all of that kind of, I don't know, story around it as well gives you way more rounded information about this stuff. And sometimes that's the best way of doing it, because it's not as simple as just saying Duke came out in 89 or whatever. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it kind of immerses you in the flavor of what it was like even to see the figures coming out. Whenever you get to see how all the other marketing and the licensing materials, how I experienced G.I. Joe as a kid. It wasn't just really the figures. It was, obviously the comic book, the cartoon, but also you'd just be in the store at the checkout lane and there'd be, some G.I. Joe bubblegum thing, or that little stationery pack, or sunglasses. There was just stuff kind of just felt like it was everywhere. How true is that for kids in other countries? And it's interesting to see that and to hear that firsthand.
Absolutely. So we'll have the UK, we'll have Spain, we've got the United States covered. We'll probably, I think the South America and all the separate kind of areas would be a great collected volume, wouldn't it, to kind of get that. Fun School. I'd love to see the Indian and, I don't want to say it, but Russian Fun School kind of eras as well kind of documented too, because I think that as well, like especially the Indian one, it's vast. There's loads of stuff in that.
Yeah, I actually kind of shout out to Fun School Ronnie on YouTube.
I love Fun School Ronnie. Love him.
I watch his channel, and I didn't know that some of the Pepsodent figures, that there's a difference on them, that some of them are from India, but some of them are from Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So it kind of was just informative to me to see somebody that has that stuff firsthand, and has the firsthand knowledge to convey it to me is beyond valuable. It's not something that I would be able to just know on my own.
And also follow him on Twitter and everywhere else, because he's always posting the best, like really cool stuff. Loads of info on that kind of era of G.I. Joe as well. And yeah, and that's another one. Like, I'm really interested to see what other countries it was like in other countries. And we know to some degree, but like where we've got this volume from the G.I. Joe and ESPANA, where we've got this, Total Action Force kind of books as well, it just makes that, it just makes it way more substantial. So really excited for all of this stuff. And yeah, I just wanted to give them a shout out as well, because they're doing amazing things with those books, and I'm really excited to start seeing and reading about what's been going on in Spain. I will actually say though, I'm not sure if they're doing it. I don't know what the deal is with the text, whether it will be in Spanish or not. Don't know.
It's kind of what I was just wondering. So
I'm
assuming it will be.
There's international buyers. I'm going to click on that and just double check on the international buyers thing, because
I would imagine that I may be using like my phone with Translate for Google.
You might have to, because it is going to be written in Spanish. It says series of 8 volumes in hardcover of the history of G.I. Joe in Spain from 1988 to 1994, A4 size color, written in Spanish, shipping worldwide. So you can actually get it, but like I said, it will be in Spanish. And like again, I totally understand that as well. But I think from just, like Pat said, if you just got you'd be using Google Translate on your phone, or just as a visual guide, it's going to be epic as well. So yeah, that's on me for not knowing Spanish more than anything else. But yeah, there you go. It's happening, and Total Action Force was written in English, so
I do the same thing translating stuff for Transformers books. Like I don't read Japanese, so my phone has to do a very rough translation for me, and then I kind of get an idea of what's happening.
Are the manga magazines in Japanese as well?
Oh yeah.
So you have to translate those too.
Honestly, Philip and I have talked about that. We'd really like a good translation of the manga.
Yeah, that'd be wicked. Cool. All right. Well, yeah, I think we're at the end now. I think we've made it finally. I just wanted to make sure I got that final shout out in. Yeah, we've got loads coming as always, as we always do. We've got another monthly planned. Whether it will take the amount of time it took to do this one, I don't think it will. I think we'll be a bit quicker on the next one. But we're actually thinking as well, I don't know if this will change the tack a little bit. We were actually thinking of doing some sort of Transformers G.I. Joe crossover chat, aren't we, Pat? So,
is that what the monthly is?
That's what one of the monthlies will be. I don't know if it'll be the next one or not.
Yeah, you know what I realized we didn't talk a lot about on the monthly this time, and it kind of makes sense because it's very figure specific, but we really didn't touch vehicles. We talked for a long time, and we did not talk about vehicles. Very true. So we probably could do a monthly just on that.
We'll do a monthly O-ring. We'll do the O-ring special every now and again, and then we'll get stuck into vehicles next. That makes sense, doesn't it? Because I think that might tie in with something in the future that I'm not allowed to talk about. So yeah,
everybody knows about the Sky Striker. We funded it.
Yes, they do. Right then, cool. That brings us to the end of this episode. Pat, thank you so much for joining me, buddy. Really appreciate it, as always.
The Full Force Weekly.
The best part about that was the gap. Amazing. Thank you for watching what Pat just said. Massive thank you to my awesome co-host, Patrick Notpicard Stewart. See you next time. And as always, buddy, after 3, 1, 2, 3, Full Force! Amazing. Beating that delay since last week. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback and questions. We also have a Patreon page, so if you want to show your support for the show, see your name up in lights on these videos, or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click on the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.